You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Live every single Tuesday night right here on all the social media networks. Trying to cover all our bases. Thank you for joining us. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
Oh, and...
Vanilla Steam.
The what? Oh, Vanilla Steam.
Oh, Vanilla Steam.
Yeah, he was talking about you, Sean.
Sean lied. Lies like Klaus.
He's getting ready for Christmas,
Klaus. Her light is still off.
Next week.
I don't trust her. She's waiting. They're going to give the big haul this year. She's trying to lie and make deceive.
The big hole.
She's trying to make deceit and make me think she is not stealing children's souls because the light is not lit. But I know.
We know it's a lie.
She's coming.
She's coming for everybody. This is what they do. This is how they play the game. They rig it for everybody. Their lies and deceit continue year after year.
Lies.
Taking it from all.
Deceit.
Taking all of it from children. It's terrible, terrible.
The innocence of children.
We need someone like a good Santa Claus to come in and rescue her soul. But he's in on the gig too. Mm-hmm. We learned that from last week's review, Violent Night.
Is evil.
Yep. Well, no, he saves the day.
No. Klaus and Mrs. Klaus together, they lies, they make you think they're warm and comforting, and then they rip your soul straight out of your body.
Diabolical. They are. They're truly diabolical. They're a diabolical team. Unmatched but by anyone else in this world.
Wow.
Just terrible.
Anyone.
Worse than the Easter Bunny. Telling you, it's just you can't escape them.
I feel like we have
Disney is
quite a
more evil
hefty
than Klaus.
soul, yeah.
Soul? Well,
Show.
Klaus
Yeah.
will have one.
Yeah.
She'll have plenty next
I
week.
was going to say we have a pretty hefty show today, I feel like.
Hefty.
I like it. I'm excited about it.
We do.
excited.
We got to start off with our hometown girl. We just got to throw it out there. It's a headline, but I just want to talk about it, get it out of the way.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get real deep into it.
We're not.
No.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're just basically going to talk about the comments that she spoke of. We have to because we're from Louisville. She was our hometown girl.
She's a hero. She's the first ever female action hero in a movie.
What?
It's amazing.
What movie was it?
The Hunger Games.
No, it was Aliens. She was in Aliens.
Really?
No,
Yes.
You're dumb. There was no female action hero in Aliens.
Oh, I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
Whoops, my bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bill
Forgot.
Paxton was the star of that. There was no other.
I mean, look, I'm telling you. Well, and hero, specifically heroes. Is that
Action,
the,
no,
action?
action.
Oh,
So any
action.
action movie.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So, she was the first. There was
She
no
was.
Terminator or Terminator
Groundbreaking.
2.
Yeah, exactly. No Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
She doesn't exist. That's
You're
a facade.
talking about James Cameron movies, though.
Well-
is there any other than James Cameron movies?
Well, James Cameron himself
The
is
last
a
action
trans
hero.
woman.
oh,
I'm sorry, trans man.
Wouldn't that would be a twist right there?
He's a trans man. He's always had a vagina, but he's pretended to have a penis and get rid of his testosterone. He injected himself with testosterone so that he could become a trans man.
That's amazing.
That's what he wanted to do.
So, yeah, Jennifer
Talk about a
Lawrence,
good story.
That's
She,
right.
What do you think Avatar 2 is going to be about?
she made the statement that she
Pandora.
was the first female lead in an action movie, which she wasn't. But to be fair,
Let's read her comments.
and not to be fair, well, the only one I have up right now is her one clarifying.
Yeah, backtracking.
Gosh.
Because she says, that's certainly not what I meant to say at all. I know that I am not the only woman who has ever led an action film. Well, no, you said you were the first, not the only.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
and it says, what I meant to emphasize was how good it feels, and I meant that with Viola Davis was who she was doing the interview with, to blow past these old myths that you hear about. I don't know what she's talking about there.
Viola Davis, in her own right, could run circles around her acting.
absolutely.
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
But it was a shame that even she didn't correct her.
When I saw Viola Davis in Doubt,
Yeah.
I mean, that sealed the deal for me that woman was.
But she said she had nerves talking
act.
to a legend like Viola Davis, so that's why she made the
Sure.
idiotic statement that she was the first, you know.
I don't even know if I would consider Viola Davis a legend yet.
No, I
She's
wouldn't.
not been.
Not quite
She's
yet.
not been in the business long enough.
No,
I mean, she has plenty of nominations and Oscars. I
Yeah.
get it, but yeah, it's
We're not talking about Meryl Streep here.
Well, here's the thing.
We're talking
She's
about-
shown her talent.
yeah.
I think far
no
more
doubt.
than Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh
has.
no, yeah. She said,
Jennifer Lawrence is the one with 2 Oscars.
The actual quote, though, was, I remember when I was doing Hunger Games, nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie because it wouldn't work.
Wait, did she win 2 or 1?
Jennifer Lawrence?
I thought she won 2, but maybe she only won 1. She's
got-
been nominated
She got
3
Silver
times.
Linings, didn't she?
That's the one I
she
thought
win
she-
Did she not win for Winter's Bone?
I don't think she did.
Okay,
no,
then I think she only has the one. Then.
she didn't win for that.
Winter's
She-
Bone was nominated,
but I
don't
thought she
think- I
won
don't know if she
for
won.
either American Hustle or Joy. I thought it was Joy.
I didn't think she won for either one of those. Yeah, she's only won for Silver. She was
Okay.
nominated for Joy and American Hustle.
Okay, good.
But she only won for
Good,
Silver
good.
Linings.
That's fine. I don't think Viola Davis has won.
I thought she had one, but maybe not.
She's been nominated.
Oh, she has definitely been nominated.
No
yeah.
doubt. But yeah, look that up real quick. Fact check me.
She'll win for The Woman King.
Probably.
She won supporting actress for Fences.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, she deserves
But she
it for
hasn't.
that,
She
yeah.
hasn't won the Best Actress award yet because that
But
matters.
she's not up to Jennifer
She's not. She's only a
Lawrence's-
supporting actress, so she's not quite as good
Exactly.
as Jennifer Lawrence,
Exactly.
who was the lead, the first female lead in an action movie.
That's
so.
right. Look, I think it's safe to say that here in Louisville, Kentucky, we no longer claim her as a star celeb
I never
of the
did
city.
from the beginning.
I would agree. I always had my doubts. I thought she was good in the beginning. Wanted to cheer her
Oh,
on,
Winter's Bone was excellent, but yeah,
It was a good movie.
It just
but no,
She wasn't the best part of it.
no, agreed,
No.
agreed. So that's all we got to say about that. We don't
well, we
claim
don't
her
have to talk
anymore.
about that
She's
no
gone.
more. We got 2 great reviews.
Yeah.
A new release, a wonderful Christmas review.
Is that?
I don't know which one you were doing first. So I
Oh,
didn't know which one to lead
we
into.
always do our regular review
Okay.
first.
Okay.
We always do that one.
Okay,
A
well,
little bit of a surprise for
It's,
peeps out there.
I don't know. I think we've talked about it. It's our review of
Surprise in meaning like not unexpected
No, Brandon,
delight.
no, you don't understand how this works. You're supposed to say, that's not what I meant when I said we have a surprise.
Let me correct
Let
you.
me correct myself.
I was just so starstruck by you two across the table.
I just
you
think
two are just amazing.
that personally. This
Crap. I'm
is
switching the wrong buttons over here. I'm
good review.
I'm so starstruck. I can't help it. You're famous.
of the 3rd adaptation of Pinocchio released this year.
That I did find pretty insane.
I think that's
3 freaking movies that are the same film, different iterations.
They were
Just
all
insane.
vastly different movies.
I would
though.
say, yeah, as original feeling as this movie was, I would say, but again, though, it's like, where's originality? We got 3 iterations of the same film.
True.
Like,
I
in a
think
year.
that's a
Like,
fair point.
Come on.
And while they each have different displays of the folklore or the message, I think this one hits home the best.
This one blew Disney out of the water.
Oh, no doubt.
yeah.
No doubt.
And to be fair to
But
to
this
Del
is not
Toro,
a Disney movie.
No.
This is dark.
It's what Disney would have put out before, or at least let me
Maybe
put it
not
this
Disney,
way.
they wouldn't have
yeah,
been
I don't know
this
if they
dark.
would have treaded
I mean,
that.
Del
I don't
Toro,
know.
Del Toro himself said this is not a kids movie. He
Yeah.
said yes, kids can watch it, but he
Yeah.
would suggest parental
See,
guidance.
I have to disagree with his own movie on that, his own opinion.
Oh no, he didn't say they can't watch it. He just said that he didn't make it for kids.
Because I'm
Yeah.
sorry, there were plenty of Disney movies that, when I was younger, had darker themes and darker tones.
Oh yeah, I don't can't think
than
of any
this film.
that have darker than this film.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
I don't. I've seen every Disney animated movie.
There
the
were-
closest is Hunchback of
I
Notre
mean,
Dame.
okay, with that one, or
They
I
all
would even
have their,
say
they all have their moments
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
are kind of like
Beauty
but
and the Beast. Beast kills Gaston by throwing him off the freaking
but that was
it's a
castle.
cartoon though.
It was handled.
I think when
nicely.
people die in a cartoon, you don't really think
you didn't
about
see
it.
someone get shot in the head and a bullet hole in their head.
It's like
in
Wile
any
E.
Disney
Coyote.
movie.
I mean,
I
it's
just
like,
Okay,
you don't
I'm
care.
actually forgetting that part of the film.
Yeah, nobody got shot in the head and had a bullet hole in their head in a Disney movie. So
I don't remember that in this.
he shot Pinocchio in the head.
Yeah,
and
he
you
died.
See his
He's a
bullet hole.
block of
He
wood.
don't
Three
matter.
times.
He still shot him in the head and
that's
had its
different.
iconography that is darker.
No, I disagree.
The worst Disney did was
We're
show
already
this-
disagreeing.
I
We
know.
haven't even done the
The
review.
worst Disney did was the
let's
silhouette of Clayton being hung in the trees. Now that was dark.
That was dark. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
But not as dark as this movie.
And that was released in just before 2000. Alrighty, let's get into our review of here is our review of Netflix's or Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
The world is full of fairy tale and folklore. These tales are told and retold, passed on from generation to generation, changing with each telling. Sometimes such a tale can be told and retold on film by 3 different companies. So it has come to be, as Netflix has just released the 3rd version of Pinocchio to come out this year. The first, a Russian-produced film released by Lionsgate here in the States, went unnoticed and will be forgotten as the poor attempt it was. Strangely though, it may not have been the worst Pinocchio adaptation of the year, as Disney's soulless live-action remake of their own animated version came later this year. Now though, the story can be told by a man who truly loves old-world fairy tales, folklore, and fantasy, Guillermo del Toro. And it is this love that truly brings his stop-motion version to life. Pinocchio, directed by Del Toro and Mark Gustafsson, a veteran of stop-motion animation, tells the story of the little wooden puppet brought to life, who must learn to be a real boy. Though this version has several twists and added themes thrown in. Set in fascist Italy during the First World War, the film explores themes of loss, morality, and mortality, and what it means to do the right thing, even when those in authority may lead you astray. Del Toro often adds a macabre twist to his tales, and his version of Pinocchio is no different. And yet his is the most human and thematically rich version to grace screens in years. With stellar voice acting from all involved, Gregory Mann as Pinocchio provides an authentic, inquisitive, and mischievous boy learning right from wrong. Pinocchio wants to do the right thing, but as all children are, is focused only on what is fun and enjoyable. Learning the repercussions of his actions and how it affects those he loves provides the moral crux of the tale, all sold on Mann's solid voice acting. Supporting him is David Bradley as Geppetto, the most realistic version of the character I've seen story-wise. With vocal work from Ewan McGregor as Sebastian J. Cricket, this film's counterpart to Jiminy Cricket, a character who was never named in the novel. With the likes of Ron Perlman, Cate Blanchett, Tilda Swinton, Finn Wolfhard, and Christoph Waltz filling out the rest of the main cast. Though it's not just the voice acting that showcases major talent. Co-directing the film is Mark Gustafsson, responsible for claymation classics such as The Adventures of Mark Twain and Meet the Raisins, and his stop-motion pedigree is on full display, with cinematography done by Frank Passingham, also a veteran in stop-motion with works such as Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, and Kubo and the Two Strings, who invented new stop-motion lighting techniques just for the film. Their work stands out as Pinocchio's set pieces, cinematography, and production design create a visual feast that sets itself apart from other Pinocchio films. The film only lacks, in my opinion, in small details. While all of the themes tackled are well done, and the use of fascist Italy to drive them home, instead of treading the same tired story beats we've seen before, was a brilliant decision. The film does drop the ball some in talking mortality. Not because what it has to say is poor, but more so because while it portrays Christian iconography and tiptoes around faith and the religious implications of mortality, it does not address them. And while the film didn't need to, it directly evokes such talk, even going so far as having Pinocchio comment on a wooden statue of Christ. When referenced so directly, it feels a bit odd that more depth was not provided, considering the film's ending narration seems to conflict with such ideals. As is, Pinocchio is one of the best retellings of such a well-known story I've seen. Heartbreaking and beautiful, yet still with a lot of untapped potential. Knowing just how bittersweet and beautiful Del Toro can make movies, such as Pan's Labyrinth, I find Pinocchio amazing, but still shy of what Del Toro is capable of. I give Pinocchio 3 out of 4 stars.
3 out of 4 stars for Pinocchio.
Yeah, Disney
Del
should
Toro's
be ashamed
Pinocchio.
of themselves.
Yeah, for the garbage that they gave us this year. Yeah, the live action.
Here's what's going to hurt my heart is, as of all the animated films I've seen so far this year, this is the one I would pick for best animated feature. And it's I could still see Disney or Pixar getting it.
Strange World.
Well, Strange World and Turning Red both are getting Oscar buzz, and I think they'll both get it. Lightyear's not getting any buzz because it was, I think, too huge a flop. Yeah, I'm just saying. I just think it's hilarious. Yeah.
Nice joke.
But it's funny because they all 3 came out this year, and
Literally.
I just got that.
yeah, he just got them.
But they all
just got
Lightyear's not getting a buzz, Brandon.
No.
he just said they all 3 came out, and all 3 of those movies feature homosexual characters too.
Yeah.
So
Well, Turning Red didn't, but
yeah, it had
There was a trans person in it who's asking for tampons in the aisle. It could have been played either way.
That was the Big Hero movie. The big not
the
movie,
the short.
Show. Yeah, the short where
I thought that was Turning Red.
No, that was Big Hero where Baymax is trying to figure out what tampons to buy for whatever.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah.
But ultimately, go woke, go broke.
But still,
we've seen it with Disney countless times this year.
Turning Red still wasn't very good.
But I disagree. I do not think. Look, the problem is, and this is what the issue is with Hollywood in general, and I know they've been patting themselves on the back for this woke crusade for years now. At the end of the day, it becomes a parody of itself when you have to reward even just terrible movies because they're lukewarm. I mean, Strange World.
Well, I don't think that's
Strange
why they're
World
doing
was
it.
panned critically.
It's just Pixar
even
almost
with
always wins.
No,
so.
I know, but I'm just saying I don't think that they can reward just complete mediocrity because of its message. It's so blatantly obvious with the films they've released this year that none of them have been stellar. None of them have been so spectacular.
But they've all got it's got like a 90% from critics. That's what I'm saying. I could see them voting for it even at the Oscars.
Yes, okay, but you again, just like we would announce certain movies that are going to be Oscar favorites end up getting overlooked because they're classically liked across the board. Everybody talks about how Green Book, the year it came out and won, that it was the most lukewarm film and it was kind of the safe film that year. Last year, Coda won, but even then, it was like, I still think you have to have widespread across the Academy,
I agree.
not only critical acclaim, but you have to have every single department pushing for these kind of films. I don't think there's it doesn't. Again, I could be counted wrong. We'll see on Oscar night. But I honestly believe there's no chance.
I'm not saying this doesn't have a chance because I think Guillermo del Toro's name alone is enough for most Oscar members to be like, oh yeah, that's much better than what Disney did. But I just know
he won for freaking Shape of Water.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
I mean, come on.
But at the same time,
but that movie
they tend to hand it to Pixar.
That's
my thing. They don't even have to see the Pixar film. I doubt a lot of the people at the Oscars. They just see Pixar and are like, yeah, I'll vote for that.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I think in recent
many years they
plus,
won when they didn't deserve it. That's why
I would agree,
it.
but I think they've got stiffer competition this year.
They do.
And not only that, but I would also argue that there's only been two Pixar films or one? Was Strange World a Pixar film or was it Disney Animation?
No, it's Disney Animation.
Pixar was Lightyear and Turning Red.
Yeah.
But Strange World was not. So, and I don't think Lightyear, like you said, isn't getting any buzz.
It's not going to get a nom at all.
And I highly doubt Turning Red. It's off everybody's radar.
Oh no, it's a pick for amongst.
I get it, but
so
I just don't see it.
And that's just me going off Gold Derby like I usually do. But so far every year they're pretty spot on. That's why I turn back to them.
Sure. I mean, we'll see.
Not to pick as winner as a nom. Turning Red and Strange Worlds both are 2 of the 5 noms that they're granting.
And I think that's more. And it could be just them. I think throwing them a bone.
Any of them Illumination?
No,
they weren't nominated for anything.
I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't see.
Did they have any movies this year?
Yeah, they had Minions, but I don't see Minions as a best animated film either.
No, that was lukewarm at best, and it was a continuation of something that's already known.
There was another one this year though. That was,
I mean, Mario's coming out next year.
Yeah,
that I think may be a contender.
I mean, they had other animated films.
It might not have been Illumination, but it was not Pixar, Disney.
Not Sky Blue. They haven't had anything.
No, Sky Blue doesn't exist anymore because that was
that's
Fox
right. That's right.
Bought it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're now Disney Animation. They got absorbed.
They were.
But no, let's talk about Del Toro's Pinocchio.
Oh, the bad guys. That was DreamWorks.
That was okay, but it really no.
But it's one that's also been getting.
That was the one with Samuel L. Jackson in it, right?
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell. The animals that are.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson's not in that one.
What was the animation one that it may not have been
the Kung Fu
CG?
One.
Yeah, what was the Kung Fu one?
The one with him and Michael Cera.
Yeah,
that one wasn't CG, but it was. It was
Paws
CG.
of Fury.
Paws of Fury.
Yeah,
that's it.
No.
Yep.
No, the bad guys has been getting nomination buzz, so I could see that. And that's DreamWorks. That's still Universal. Universal owns both DreamWorks and Illumination, which we'll get into that later too.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk about that later. But right now, Del Toro's Pinocchio.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. What did you think, Sean?
I agree with the 3 stars.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Opposed to the original cartoon, the Disney film, I thought this was the best iteration I've ever seen of that.
I would put this over Disney's
now.
original.
The nostalgia of the Pinocchio, the Disney Pinocchio was, I don't know. That movie is one of my favorite Disney movies, and I guess it's just the one that I remember watching the most when I was a kid, and it scared the life out of me, but it also I loved that movie. So I'm comparing it to that one. I'm not even looking at Tom Hanks in their film, the live action film, but the animation in this film was amazing. I just recently rewatched The Nightmare Before Christmas since it's in 4K on Disney Plus, and I was just noticing how amazing the animation was in that film because the last time I saw that it was on VHS, and this was leaps and bounds. I felt like beyond Nightmare Before Christmas, but that being said, I thought the movie was really good. The only thing that I didn't enjoy about the movie was, and it changes throughout the film, but it towards the beginning of the film, there's kind of this sense from Geppetto that he regrets Pinocchio. And
I think
and it builds towards both of them coming to care for each other. But there was some moments that I was kind of thinking to myself, man, if I did let my kids see this, what a poor father figure towards the beginning of the film.
But that's what I appreciated, because I felt like it was a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, the turn later and how they grow on each other.
Yeah.
No pun intended, since he's a stick. But no, I thought it ended up being good, but that was something that kind of startled me towards the beginning, and I was kind of turned me off a little bit.
The one reason I liked that was just how they kind of, and they did it, I think, in a very well done way of direction, which is they used the same voice actor for both Carlo and for Pinocchio, but they made it differentiate between the two that Carlo was not the same person as Pinocchio.
Right.
Yeah. And I did like how they made them two individual characters, and of course by the end of the film, you get this sense of Geppetto is accepting of Pinocchio for who he is, because he's not Carlo. And I think you see that the resistance in the beginning was more so because he didn't fit the mold of his lost son.
Which is
plus he was
completely
terrified
opposite.
by the fact that this puppet came to life, which I love, because every other movie Geppetto's just like, I got a son!
Right.
Yeah, but I think in all of the other versions of this story that we've seen, it's very much so. As soon as Pinocchio comes to life, the Geppetto is ecstatic. It's almost like his son has been replaced. And I felt like I was waiting for that, and when that didn't happen, I was kind of like, how's this going to... And like I said, towards the end of the film, things turn, and it works out.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with it, but in the beginning, when I saw that, it was kind of like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, like, that's kind of harsh.
Right.
And then I would say, again, this is just Del Toro's style, and him incorporating Mussolini and incorporating fascism and all that kind of stuff in this was so much different than anything I've seen. Now, I don't know. I've never read the story Pinocchio, so I don't know if that's if anything like that is in that. I don't think so, because it takes place in a different time period, I thought. But that was just
the original novel. I think was written in the 1800s.
Yeah,
like 1890s, 1880s.
I don't think it was. It was like 1940.
What?
No, because the movie came out before that.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, because that was what I was saying.
Maybe I'm thinking 1840.
But it was definitely in the 1800s that the novel was actually released.
But it was from Italy.
Because it actually has to deal with his mother is dealing with a sick boy, and it's a lot darker apparently than even what it has to deal with more of his mother.
No, because I just read the whole.
I'm pretty sure I just watched the CBS this morning on the original story, and what the original story talks about, and it's like the iterations of Pinocchio are vastly different.
Yeah, it's like,
but it's also based on
Carpenter finds this log that's talking in the woods, and because he was going to use it for a chair table or whatever, and when it talks to him, he freaks out and gives it to Geppetto, who's into puppetry, who carves it into the puppet. But yeah, I don't know anything about a mother, because I literally just read the whole thing, not the whole story, but the whole like plot synopsis over there, because I was curious.
Who knows? Maybe there's different written versions of it too. I just thought it was a very well done film. It fits every other film that Del Toro's done. I don't really think there's anything that he's done that doesn't kind of match with his. It's kind of like M. Night when M. Night was good. Like all of his films felt like
1883. Yeah,
all of his films felt like his films. And Del Toro definitely carries that over into his version of Pinocchio.
No doubt.
Because it's a much darker... I knew it was darker because I knew like he kills Jiminy in the original story. Well, not Jiminy. The cricket doesn't have a name in the original story, which is why it's Sebastian in Del Toro's version, because Jiminy's owned by...
he throws in the name of
Sebastian J.
J, yeah.
Yeah, which Jiminy's owned by Disney, so they can't... If they had done that, he could have been sued, so they can't use that
Just
name.
crazy, because it's also fictional based on
Right.
Disney's story.
Yeah,
that they're
they don't
telling.
own the story.
But they own
Right.
that version of the
Right,
character.
yeah.
Just
Right.
like Winnie
Yeah.
the Pooh is in public domain now, but if you make something that looks like Disney's version, you could get sued. Even though,
Don't you just love it?
even though
Don't you just love
Pooh
it?
was originally written by A.A. Milne, and that's
Yeah.
what's in public domain, not Disney. It's crazy.
Well, isn't
Yeah.
it like, what's the original title of Winnie the Pooh again? Christopher Robin. Isn't it something Christopher Robin? I thought that was the original title of the book. I don't think it was like Winnie the Pooh.
No, it's because I bought them from there's a couple different novels, and one of them might have Christopher Robin's name, but it's like the let's see.
We're terrible. We
Yeah,
just
this
don't
is
know.
bad.
This is awful. We just don't know any.
Well, because
info
we're talking
tonight.
about something that even.
I
But yeah,
just-
no,
but
I was,
no, I
I
just
was
wanted
looking
to- I
through
was
Pinocchio's
interested.
story. Like, I know there's a part where the fairy gets sick, and maybe that's what you're talking about, but it's not his mother. Like, and he helps the fairy out, who helps him out. Like, because the fairy's role in the original story is very different as well.
Well, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
at
We
will.
another time.
We'll
We're gonna spend
announce
a lot
a
of time
correction.
arguing about it and
Yeah.
not talking about the movie.
I was gonna say we need to just talk about Del Toro's
Yeah.
masterful creation.
No.
I will say that the one standout from the very opening scene to the end is just the masterful work of art that is the puppetry.
Yeah.
Is the setting, the lighting. I mean, the amount of work that was done. Like I said, one of the featurettes I watched on the making of, they were only really creating about 2 seconds a day, and they said it would have taken forever to do a whole movie that way. So they had like 60. I don't know if it was the whole sound stage, but parts or sections of 60 sound stages.
They had 60 people
No-
simultaneously working on the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
For 24 frames. So
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
insane and incredible. And there are some scenes where clearly you can tell it was kind of weird. I felt an odd mixture, and maybe this is just because of how many people's hands are involved in this kind of title. And that's not a problem, but there were definitely times where I felt like they were going for the stop motion look, and then other times where it was so fluid,
smooth, yeah.
that I was like, I couldn't tell that it wasn't like a CG animated movie. But it was just so well done throughout, and so many different instances of me thinking, one, how did they pull this off in stop motion, and how did they get it to look this good? But also, I mean, when it comes to, there were a couple of set pieces I saw with green screens. So I think some of obviously the big, huge mountainous areas, or the gazing into the distant shots, those were obviously CG added. But a lot of the sets in which the puppetries are actually standing in, so much of those facades are real and hand painted, hand created. You can tell, I mean, just such a work of art. So much love went into this. I love that, and I'm forgetting his name. I'm terrible about this. The other director that's credited in this film,
Mark Gustafson.
Mark Gustafson. I'm
his
glad he
co-director.
gave him a credit, simply because, I mean, not only is it deserved, but it's like he is pretty much, I think if you had any doubts of who the master of stop motion is, you're going to look to this guy now, because this is absolutely
His pedigree
mind-blowing.
goes as far back. He worked on Meet the Raisins, the original California Raisin stop claymation cartoons. He did The Adventures of Mark Twain, which I mentioned, which terrified me as a kid. Like the whole, I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube, the whole where they meet Satan is terrifying.
Oh no, I've not seen that.
These two kids travel around with Mark Twain, and
It's
he
a
has
kid's
like this,
it's a kid's short too, isn't it?
It's an animated film, and yes, it is for kids, but it is terrifying. Because it tackles a lot of adult themes. But I mean, that claymation is good. The cinematographer has worked in stop motion for years. I mentioned him in my review.
Well, let me ask you all this, because we only talked about it briefly on the show. But you all have seen, I still haven't seen, you all have seen Mad God.
Yeah.
I mean, comparing the two, I know they're two totally different genres, different, story beats, but in terms of like the animation style, just that stop motion, I mean, would you say one ekes out the other?
I would say that Mad God had the backgrounds and stuff in that were definitely not green screen, or at least they sure as heck did not look like it. There was everything in that looked like real handmade miniatures I would say that the stop motion is not as smooth as what I've seen in Pinocchio.
Okay.
Like exactly, I agree with you. In Pinocchio, there's times where I don't feel like you can even tell that it is stop motion.
No.
It's that fluid and smooth. In Mad God, you can absolutely tell that it's stop motion, but it's very amazing. But then you've got real people mixed in with that too. It has actual live action stuff mixed in it. It's got a couple of different kinds of animation.
It's not a lot, but yeah.
But and there's different. I felt like there's different styles, whereas obviously in this movie you have the same animation style through everything to make it look good.
Pure
Yeah,
stop motion.
The Mad God almost looks like there was a couple of different people had different parts to make of the feature, and then they put them all together.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it felt like
I think his was more
mixture.
so it was a labor of love, and it was mainly the one artist who, I forget again the guy's name from Mad God, but it was specifically him who pretty much it was a labor of love, and he worked on that for years.
Yeah.
I think it took him to create
so
Mad God.
that would make
yeah.
sense because
over that course of time,
his style would have changed and the art direction would have changed. I would also say I had read some stuff about Del Toro trying to get this movie done, and of course it took over a decade to get it done. But I thought it was funny when he is talking about how he approached a lot of different production companies about making the film, and they all turned him down. He said he would go in and pitch the film and say it's about death, life, and the rise of Mussolini, and they would say, "Here's your parking validation. See you later," and turn him down. And Netflix was the first group that said yes,
greenlit it,
absolutely.
Well, because I think
just
they
by
know
hearing about it.
Del Toro's. I mean, look, this has been the one saving grace of Netflix. Is we've seen, everybody can complain all they want, but really when you see these artists who come out and they've already proven themselves and they know they're not getting the backing of the big studios, Netflix becomes the new studio that steps in and says, yeah, we'll put it on our service.
Yeah.
We'll give it that extra added value because, again, I think they're trying to compete to say, look, we're just as much of a juggernaut as those guys, even though we're the new ones in the room. We haven't been at this for that long.
Yeah, they're pretty brave.
Oh, yeah.
And that's...
And again,
production companies used to be that way.
They
used to take risks.
They'd have
I don't feel
to.
like
they
take risks anymore.
Oh, absolutely not. Especially with something like this, they want a return on their investment, and that's still the bigger question with Netflix as a whole is are they turning profit? But at least while they're not, we're happy as consumers because we get so many great films that normally we wouldn't. I think of Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. I mean, a 3.5 hour mob film. It's like we've already seen that with Goodfellas. Why do we need something else? Mm-hmm. But again, I'm glad that they're also doing his next film too, which I think is set to come out next year. The one with Leo.
The Flower Moon movie or whatever. Yeah. I don't remember the name. I just know it's like something of the Flower Moon or whatever.
But it's like, I mean, we know that when these high value, I mean, Netflix knows it. They know it's a commodity when they can say, hey, we've got these big names that are coming to our platform. Del Toro is no different. I mean, people do know him and his work.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Flower Moon.
Yeah. But I do appreciate it's funny because, I mean, as much as we've knocked Netflix in the past, I do think they are one company out of many that has kind of not. I wouldn't say like have shied away from being woke at all, but I think they have kind of learned the lesson in that. Look, we'll make content. There will be some content that'll appease the woke crowd, but we're still going to support our Dave Chappelle's. We're still going to make they're now focused on just making content, and I appreciate that. It's like,
you got to make content for everybody if you want to maintain an audience, and if you want to keep subscribers, you can't go all in one way or the other.
If you want to be the highest grossing animated production company, you gotta make stuff for everybody. But we'll get there later again too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I stayed corrected too. Pinocchio was definitely the the
blue
fairy, the fairy that saves him.
Yeah.
She saves him and rescues him, not his mother.
Yeah.
But anyways,
her role in the original story is completely different than anything. Like, in fact, the original story is very different from most iterations.
Much darker too.
It is much darker. There are elements I see, like the live action version with Jonathan Taylor Thomas. You remember, which is terrible.
I don't remember.
There's a scene.
Where's that?
Was it Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
I just don't remember.
He did a Pinocchio movie.
Yeah, there's a live action like in the 90s. It was pretty. For its time, it was like
so even more live action than the live action when we got this year.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a scene in that's from like I remember distinctly when I was reading the synopsis of the book. It's like, oh, I remember that in that version where the fox and the cat trick him into burying his gold coins and whatever. But yeah, there's just so much about this movie that I appreciated because even though it doesn't tackle still a lot of the things that were in the original novel, it does have, I think, some of the darker tone and the humor. Pinocchio is definitely a little bit more early on of kind of... I don't want to say a jerk because he doesn't know better, but he is. He is. Mm-hmm. He's very mischievous. But I love that too because it's one of those things where it's like he had to learn how to be a real boy and how to be a good person, and that's true. Right. Most little boys, if you let them do what they want, they are going to act like little a-holes.
Yep, they're going to be little jerks.
And I love seeing in this that combativeness, even with Ewan McGregor as Sebastian the Cricket, compared to the live-action one we got from Disney where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Jiminy is just it's almost like in that version the Pinocchio was just this pure soul that's like, oh, I just keep stumbling into the wrong thing, and I hated that. It's like no,
there has to be some responsibility.
It's like if he's
the
just
actions that you're
in this version, it's like no, Pinocchio did wrong things and he had to learn from those wrongs, and he ultimately had to make a sacrifice to right those wrongs, and I appreciated that. The only thing I touched on in the review that bugged me was, and I mentioned specifically the scene.
This is the biggest one we haven't got to yet.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that because there is a lot of. Actually, I was surprised when the movie first started, and I remember you said the same thing, and you see Geppetto making the crucifix with Christ on it, and all that with his son, and going to church, and I was like, oh,
kind of shocked.
I was like, I'm happy to see that they're willing to incorporate these things. And I hated that they missed this mark when he's sitting in the church and he looks at this wooden statue of Jesus and he's like, why does everybody love him but they hate me? He's made out of wood. And I thought we were going to get something really good there, and it was just a cop out where Geppetto was just like, well, people don't understand, and I'm just like, no, you just missed the whole point of why
he deliberately overlooked that message and just kind of threw in like it was like a cheesy one-liner. It wasn't even a one-liner. It was just a cheap explanation of not even referring to what he had just mentioned. And I was like, you even said this, Keith, in your remarks. You were like, oh, gosh, hold that up. You got to hold that up.
Taylor Thomas.
Oh, gosh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I do remember that.
They played it at school a few times. Lord. So
it's like once you're done with cats testing, play that after you get done.
It's on HBO Max if anybody wants to watch it.
Oh, man.
Maybe
I might have to.
I may have to tune into that.
It's got a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, we already know how bad they are with their reviews.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, this is an older movie, though,
But no,
it's got 27 audience score, so if that tells you anything.
Well, then we know we've always said when they're about the same, then they're pretty good to go with the audience score. But no, that was my biggest issue with the film. My biggest gripe was its themes and its morals were so rooted in something that was Christian oriented, but they never went that extra mile. Right. They showed some of the imagery, but then they didn't take that extra step. And granted, I think, Keith, it was you who told me that Del Toro himself is agnostic, so it's not that he's necessarily not a proponent of faith.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing
Most
about
Italians are. So
well, he's not Italian.
He's not.
I know, but the movie is based on Italians.
Oh, I know.
So,
but I'm just saying, Del Toro was
it would make
raised
sense
Catholic,
to feature the church,
and
everything in there.
And that's what I thought. I thought, okay, at least they're not shying away from showing this as part of their culture in this town, and I liked that. Mm-hmm. But again, to make it so purposeful and being blatant about it appearing in the movie and then not to have anything of depth throughout it, I was just kind of like, well, this is a missed opportunity. Why even go the extra that extra mile to tell or show that that imagery without actually going and having the deeper message?
That was my gripe mainly because the movie never had to go there, and I'm fine with it not going there. But the thing is, once you have that scene of him directly pointing at Jesus and saying, "Why do they love him?" I'm like, okay, if you're going to go that far to do that,
if you're going to directly reference
not have it
at
all, if you're not going to,
if you're gonna gloss over it, and not even bring it up, like he just completely glossed over it, and I'm like, then why even bring it up? Yeah. There's just no point to it.
But that was really my only point of contrition with the movie, where I was just like, because
I'll be honest, at first I was surprised, and then I was delighted that I was like, okay, well, this isn't bad. I was like, I as a Christian, of course, I'm hesitant anytime I see it in a movie because I'm like, what dark turn is going to happen? That they're going to immediately blaspheme or take into consideration that, oh, this is just going to be, written off, or, these crazy kooks, And that's honestly what I thought was going to happen when the bomb drops on the church. And I'm sitting here thinking,
Man, that
here
scene,
we come.
From that very moment, though, I was just like, whoa, this
it's
movie's
dark.
real.
Yeah.
Same. But also, and I told Keith this, I was like, but in a equally interesting light, and I was okay with this, I enjoyed the fact that as they go forward and you see him kind of in a I thought they were going to use it as a springboard of him losing his faith. Which I thought would have been fun, and how his faith is restored by the end of the film, which that through line is kind of there. But also I like the fact that when you do see that the town, which is not completely involved in this war at all, the moment it becomes taken over and a few years later and the fascists are there, you see them come to his house, and the priest is even with the main leader of this Mussolini brigade. And I thought, okay, I actually did enjoy that, because I thought that was a realistic look of people who would. I told Keith this right before he recorded yesterday. I said, you know what's funny is it was like everybody today in college campuses are asked, would you have stood up to Hitler? And everybody's like, yeah, of course I would have.
Yeah.
Bull crap.
Yeah.
When your life is truly on the line. I mean, look at the very oppression / censorship that we've got going on right now in the U.S. and how many people are on the side of, well, but it's for the greater good. The moment you have that as your moral line of thinking is the moment you're truly corrupt. The moment you think that the ends justify the means is the moment you truly need to look in the mirror and consider yourself a real evil human being.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that ultimately, at least seeing that from the priest, of all people, you would not expect to go down that road. It shows you that all ilks in the society went through that in World War II when they were pressured to do it. And so I would have been happy.
This would have been World War One for this.
World War One.
But either way, both still fascist regimes. Yeah.
But ultimately, I really believe that it would have been fine to see that juxtaposition of this priest who's supposed to be a leader in the church kind of going along to get along, and then this Geppetto who's really had his world rocked, lose his faith, and then have a resurgence of faith by the end of the film. I thought that would have been a great, tremendous message. It's not that it's not there, but it also is definitely not something that he took advantage of and really used as a way he should have, I think. And that's the one main reason I knocked off a whole star for it. It's like, again, just don't even bring it up then.
Yeah.
Just gloss over it.
Still, very good movie. I really liked it.
Indeed. It's absolutely worth a watch, and one of Netflix's better originals, especially, coming out this year. I don't know if I would say it's a holiday movie, one to watch for the holidays, but,
I don't know.
I just think it happened. I'm not really sure.
I'm just saying, maybe you don't have to watch
way.
it now. You can watch it, in the coming year,
Watch it.
But it's worth a watch. Alrighty, guys, I think we're ready to move on to now our holiday review, finally.
I agree.
Let's get on to the third holiday review we have, which is Edward Scissorhands.
Our unconventional Christmas reviews continue with another film from Tim Burton. With Guillermo del Toro and Netflix's Pinocchio having just released to critical acclaim this weekend, it feels fitting that our Christmas review is for a film that similarly tells the story of a creation brought to life, attempting to navigate what it means to be human. I speak of the 1990 gothic romance, Edward Scissorhands. Directed by Tim Burton and starring longtime collaborator Johnny Depp as Edward and Winona Ryder as Kim Boggs, the film begins as a story told by an elderly woman to her granddaughter, beginning with Avon saleswoman Peg Boggs, played by Diane Weist, who discovers Ed in the old abandoned mansion/laboratory of an eccentric inventor, played by the legendary Vincent Price. With the inventor having passed away, Ed was left alone and incomplete, as the inventor had created Ed but had left him with scissors for hands, having meant to have eventually given him real hands before passing. Ed soon comes to live with Peg and her family and becomes the infatuation of the entire town, though not everyone in town is accepting of Edward. Odd, gothic, and macabre, as is the way of Tim Burton, Edward Scissorhands, however, represents Burton at his best, taking the normal and mundane and adding a gothic twist that still reflects on universal themes and provides clever social commentary on neighborhood tropes and cliches. Edward Scissorhands is a relatable story with relatable characters despite being about a man with scissors for hands. A modern-day telling of Frankenstein, Edward Scissorhands explores very similar concepts and human ideas of love and kindness, conformity and judgment, and that sometimes humans are the real monsters. While Burton's strange style is not everyone's cup of tea, there is a reason Edward Scissorhands has become an iconic cult classic, and some may argue it is not a Christmas movie. But through its themes of love and acceptance, with an emphasis on Christmas by placing the bulk of the emotional climax during the holiday and connecting emotional themes to the snowfall only present thanks to Edward Scissorhands' themes and visuals scream Christmas, and while definitely unconventional, it is complete at home as a Christmas film and has been played during the holiday season for years. Edward Scissorhands will certainly not be essential Christmas viewing for many, but it is a film with lots of beauty and a heartwarming message that has become lost in most modern film, especially modern Christmas movies. I give Edward Scissorhands 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Whoa!
Yeah. Wow.
3.5 out of 4 stars there.
I think this one, I was in my feels when I did that. But
you said it had been a long time since you
It
had
had been a long
seen-
time, and I watched this. I watched Pinocchio on Saturday and this on Sunday, and this hit just... Pinocchio was fantastic, but it just came shy of that, of scratching that emotional itch I wanted it to, and this one hit it. Just like that scene of him carving the ice sculpture and the snowfall, like just that gets me. I mean, I was just like, man.
It's funny because I watched this last year.
Yeah.
And watching it again this year, but it still sticks with me every time I see that scene.
Yeah.
It's one of those where you almost kind of wonder back then, especially, you're like, did they know how iconic this was going to be this many years later, or just that it was going to be one of those scenes that was remembered? Because I no doubt think you could show that to anybody and they would be able to nail which film it's from and how big a moment that is.
It also reminds me a lot of how much Tim Burton used to be a good director.
Agreed.
Dumbo, gosh.
Let's get her
funny.
ready to Dumbo.
It's funny that the poster that you chose for the review even says, like, from the director of Batman and Beetlejuice.
I know.
And it's like, yes, that's the Tim Burton that made this film.
Yeah.
I told Keith that when he recorded, I was like, I said, I really had to think, because I was giving him trash when we did Nightmare
Well, he deserves
Before
trash
Christmas.
now.
Well, no, but I was saying I was dogging him because of what he's made recently, and because Nightmare Before Christmas, while his name is attached,
He didn't direct
He
it,
didn't
yeah.
direct it, and he more had concepts, but he didn't have. I think I don't credit him with the feel of Nightmare Before Christmas as much as I do that director.
They sure used his name to sell it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they didn't even
did.
decide to do that until I think it said like 3 weeks before releases, when Disney decided to slap Tim Burton's name on it.
but it's interesting because when I saw this and I realized, Batman, Beetlejuice, I'm like, the dude really did just have some heavy hitters back in the day. No wonder his
Ed
name
Wood.
was cemented then. Yeah, there you go.
It's one of Johnny Depp's better performances, too, before he lost his stuff.
I was going to say,
I mean, before he kind of just went crazy.
This
Well,
is
you
him
got to
being
think,
British.
though, was him being crazy what led... I mean, that's why he was able to pull this off.
Well, that's true, but I don't think he really went crazy until
Post-Pirates?
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
well, that's my thing. I think this is him being originally weird and quirky.
Yes.
And then Pirates is a whole different type of weird and quirky as Jack Sparrow, and he was two different versions that were great. And I feel like everything since then is him just imitating those type of movies.
Agreed.
It's like oh, well, I was popular for doing this, so all my characters would be weird. And Tim Burton's the same way. Both of them together are awful now because they're weird for weird's sake. Edward Scissorhands, they plop him in a kind of a 50s-esque suburban neighborhood. Everything is pretty much normal. The only
Olivia
thing that-
Wilde would be proud.
Yes.
Oh, that movie was terrible.
I have not.
I have watched.
I don't want to. I'm not going to.
I know
Worry,
how it
Darling.
ends.
It is
Oh, yeah.
terrible.
Yep.
But yeah, everything in this movie is normal. It's Edward in the world he comes from that's bizarre and gothic and weird. And that's what Tim Burton used to do. He used to take abstract ideas and infuse them into like these normal and relatable situations. And now it's just about being weird to be weird.
Yeah.
Agreed. And again, so much of what we talked about even a little bit earlier was just, that he's become a parody of himself.
Yes.
And he's been so hell-bent on trying to recreate visionary aspects of his filmmaking from back in the day. And it's like, dude, just go back to, I mean, the last decent movie I've seen from him was probably Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
And even then, I wouldn't characterize that as a classic
No.
from him,
Sleepy
even though it was
Hollow.
nominated.
I thought Sleepy Hollow was good.
That was good.
And that was in the 90s. It
Yeah.
was 96, 97.
Sleepy Hollow was good, and Big Fish was the last movie of his.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I really
I always
loved.
forget about that
I love,
one.
yeah, that was the last one I really
That's a great
loved.
movie.
I like Sweeney Todd, but I don't like it's again. I think Big Fish is kind of that dividing line. Like everything pre that was like vintage. It's
fair enough.
And everything
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
like I think that was when he started. Even in Big Fish, which I love, I think is when you start kind of seeing like that turn.
Yeah. Well, again, because I think he's starting to focus on things that essentially are they're not story focused. I mean, as simple as this story is, it was. I think that's why I like this movie so much. I ended up giving it 3 out of 4, not 3.5.
That's where I'm at.
But I still love it, and I do agree. I think it can be considered a holiday classic if it's this kind of that genre you like. But for me, he did such a great job of blending the abstract and abnormal with something that is very mundane and normal. And it's funny because I think where I was most surprised is in some of even just the dialogue between the characters of how, even the father and the mother, like the way they interacted was very reminiscent of what I remember or of just my own family interacting, and the point where the dad is breaking down the moral questions to Edward, and he's got his 2 kids across the table, and of course they have their own harebrained ideas of how they're going to answer, and he's kind of like no, look, we don't confuse them, and then the mother chimes in and she's like, yeah, you all. She's like, no, that's not what you all would do. She's trying to shut them up. Like, your father's trying to explain this to him. And I just thought that was very, again, I told Keith, I said, what's funny is one thing that could not be done in this movie anymore because it would be considered extremely sexist. There's a scene where it shows a wide shot of the neighborhood and all the fathers leaving at the same time, going to work.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's another shot later on where they're all coming home and all the women who are standing out and they're gathering and they're gossiping. They all, the fathers are home,
they
scatter.
break up,
And I just thought it was so funny. And I'm like, that was just stereotypical, like a funny scene of a
But
stereotype.
you're right, it's very sexist.
But no, you couldn't have that now.
That's what I'm saying.
You
Sexist.
could not have a scene like that.
No, it's funny because watching the movie, a lot of it I thought, even though they're obviously archetypes and like stereotypes of different people, they are still like. I knew neighbors like that. Yeah, maybe these are a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's still
They're
relatable.
supposed to be over the top.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's what makes
Over the
for
top
the humor
nuclear
and the
family,
entertainment.
yeah.
But it's still when I see like the nosy neighbors, or you have the one that's infatuated with Ed, and the only reason she's infatuated is because her neighbor has him and she doesn't. She don't really care.
Yeah.
And I like that. You knew people exactly like that. It's like I don't really care about that.
I ain't gonna lie.
But I'm better than her, so I deserve that.
The crazy woman who was just like, he's from the devil, get him out. It was like, everybody knew a crazy woman down the street that was like that. Absolutely.
But it's funny because in the film, you can tell that he is making a mockery and trying to make a laugh of the reality that may have been, because we know when this film wasn't made, or when it was made, like obviously that type of family situation that's almost non-existent anymore. And I feel like he was making fun of it in a lighthearted way, whereas now they couldn't make fun of it. They had to be offended by it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they would have to be offensive now.
You just brought up
Don't Worry, Darling.
Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about the exact kind of
Very,
setting.
It's very much the same.
But
I mean, not the same story, obviously, but it's
a deliberately purposeful film to not only mock but criticize this.
Yeah.
As if this was some kind of archaic
We're so much
thinking.
wiser now.
Yeah.
Right.
So much
Well,
smarter.
and not only that, but if it's some
It's not
kind
even
of
smarter. It's almost like we're a different being, like we're evolved.
Yes.
Or something
Yes.
like that.
We're much more evolved now. We would never do anything so crass as to force
well,
the
and
women
that's
to
the kind of
scatter.
the hubris. The hubris
stay at
is that
home.
there was somehow this creation or grand scheme to get people to live that way, and I'm like, no, maybe that's just how things worked.
That's how it was.
And it wasn't dysfunctional. It was just like, because that's what I loved. It was like, as it was stereotypically funny in the movie, you don't see any of the wives complaining because they're at home all day doing chores around the house and
Sipping
keeping things tidy.
martinis and watching their soaps. And,
Right. You see
preparing
her
dinner and-
running around
Yeah.
doing Avon, and that's what
Yeah,
she liked to
yeah,
do. And you could tell,
Tupperware and Avon.
right? And she's joking around like, "Oh, I just this stupid thing. I can't get the mix right." And she's trying to become the top Avon seller.
Yep.
And I just love how every time she talks to the dad, and he's kind of just aloof, and he's like, "Oh wow, that's great. Oh yeah, that's nice."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, she took me to the back room and showed she." Took off all her clothes. He's like, "Oh wow, I think you'll be okay with that." You know? Like, and it's like you can just tell he's not paying attention,
Right.
And we've all had our dads do that,
Yeah.
or they're just kind of like nodding along, but it didn't make him seem stupid either. You know, you've seen that common trope now, and the dumb father
Yeah.
who never has a redeeming quality. It's like, no, you see him as not only the head of the household, but he's trying to teach moral values to Edward Scissorhands in a very crucial scene, and I actually like that. I mean, it's. You would not see that today. He would just be stupid, aloof, and dumb. And that's all you would get. But absolutely, I mean, just a great film across the board, very touching moments. I mean, again, something that we knew that Tim Burton could have done.
Yeah,
It
it hits
could do.
it hits the right notes at the right time. I feel
Right.
like there's plenty of corny comedy making fun of the fact that this guy has scissors for hands, and it's like every possible thing you can think that would be difficult for a guy with scissors for hands, Tim Burton throws at him in the film, and it makes for a good laugh. But then, at just the right moment, it turns things down and gives you these emotional moments,
Yeah.
or the moral lessons like you're talking about. And I feel like any movie with a healthy balance of that is going to be one that people don't get bored with. It's one people respond to, and it's one people remember. That's one of the reasons that I remember the film, and it's not necessarily one of my childhood favorites. This did come out when I was a kid, but it's definitely a movie that I enjoy watching even today.
Yeah.
I actually had forgotten how. I thought with it being PG-13 that it was, when I saw the rating, that it was going to be something that I probably would choose not to show to my kids. But after watching it again, I can say it's not
relatively
that.
tame,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty tame.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's so many things in there that I think that relate to young people growing up and things that they would deal with.
Agreed.
Bullying and all of that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's definitely something that kids should be able to see
Right.
and learn something from. So
I think we're ready to move on to our headlines.
I think we should.
We're going to talk about a different one too right off the top. I just want to give you all a heads up.
oh boy.
Let's,
Oh no.
let's roll that headline open. All right, let's talk about some headlines. The first one I wanted to bring up, just because we can get through it real quick, and it kind of is on par with what we've already discussed a little bit and talking about. I know DC is the DC reboots are big headline, but let's talk about this Disney Plus adding the ads. We've already now seen that the $8 tier, which is what you could have Disney Plus for without ads for
Currently,
the last
yeah.
since it launched. They're now changing that up. Now it's going to be only the ad tier is $8. $11 is going to be the non-ad tier. Quite a price hike.
Seems to me that Disney Plus has not been as much of a success as they had wanted.
They've got 164 million subscribers.
It is fun because their price was a selling point when they first launched, and I remember they bragged about it. They were talking about, we don't think we really need to charge more than that. Huh. So
and let's not forget who just was kicked out.
Mr. Iger,
No, Chapek.
Oh, Chapek.
Chapek was the
Iger
one
was
ousted.
the one that brought in Disney Plus, though, at the price range it was at.
But the thing is Chapek made it his main business model to put Disney Plus at the forefront and becoming streaming oriented.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe in the last 2 years has there been a change up, or has there been some internal, number crunching where they're like, okay, we have this many subscribers and we're huge. We're the second leading streaming service behind Netflix. However, if we're still not able to pay the bills or so to speak, put the amount of content on there that we want to be streaming centered, does that mean they're running into trouble? Is this something that they're just using to keep the lights on or keep the amount of content they've already provided
I think
flowing?
Obviously, they're not doing well financially. Like they're doing fine financially. I just mean like as far as the last few years, their stocks have been down. Their box office gross has not been what it used to be.
So they're not doing well financially.
I mean, they're
Well, that's-
Disney. They have plenty. They
I
have
was going to
plenty
say,
of money.
I don't think they're going out of business
Yes,
anytime soon.
right.
when
but
I
course
say
not.
when I say not doing well, I just mean like Disney's safe, but they're not doing what they want to do.
yeah, I would say article after article, I've read that they're hemorrhaging money.
Yeah. That's part of bringing Iger back. Even he in a lot of the stuff he's said is about focusing on not so much just dropping everything on Disney Plus, which I agree with. It's about, making quality content that can go to theaters and then
See, here's the thing though. You're gonna bump the price up on me and not put the movies on Disney Plus and still make me go pay at the theater.
Fair
That's
point.
gonna piss me off.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They'll go to Disney Plus. They're just talking about no longer premiering them on Disney. It's like after it's in theaters,
Yeah.
they'll go to Disney Plus afterwards.
Yeah, 45 days?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
fair. I kind of don't mind. I do think it was a mistake to drop everything on Disney Plus because when you look at the quality, okay, Hocus Pocus 2, Disenchanted. Enchanted was a big movie when it released.
I love that
Disenchanted
movie. Yeah,
is not a good movie.
Yeah,
and
I
not
haven't
only,
watched it yet. But thank
sorry,
you for ruining it.
sorry.
Maybe I won't now.
You could tell that it's not theatrical quality, and that's what disturbed me. It has a great story. I think whoever did the story treatment deserves a ton of credit, but then whoever actually wrote the screenplay and directed it, you could tell that they brought in. It's one of those things where it just doesn't feel like a movie that ever would have released theatrically, and I think a lot of their stuff on Disney Plus feels
Hocus
that way.
Pocus 2 felt
Yes,
that way.
Hocus Pocus
yeah.
2 felt that way. From what I haven't seen Willow, but from what I've heard, it's the same exact thing where it feels like they're kind of chinsing, and it's like, I'm sorry,
It's weird too.
it's basically because
considering
Disney Channel 2.0 now.
Well, I was gonna say, and considering the resources that we know they've thrown behind the streaming services when it comes to Marvel, I
Yeah.
mean, all the Marvel series have had top-notch, top-tier production design.
Well, She-Hulk.
Oh, well,
I was saying they
That's-
did.
sorry,
Literally,
minus that
yeah,
one.
that's the only one that
Yeah.
I feel like
The CGI
production
there was a
value
little,
was low.
But I
haven't
also-
enjoyed all of the series, but the production value
Yeah.
is good on all of them.
On all of them,
well,
you're
and I
right.
will say, even She-Hulk, I would blame art direction more than anything. I think it was a bad idea for them to go the full CG route on her She-Hulk. I don't think it would have helped the story or the show
No, I
any.
think full CG is
but-
right. It's just they didn't make the skin texture as good as because I don't think you could do her not full CG. She's too big.
I don't know. I just feel like I don't know how they could have done it. I just know that whatever direction they chose was poor. Because everything I've seen of her as full She-Hulk
Yeah.
looks laughable.
They're terrible, yeah.
It looks terrible. And here's the thing.
It just
That's
has no
coming from
texture to
somebody that has even seen like the Bruce Banner that they did in Endgame and
Yeah.
it was Endgame because that's where he's kind of
Yeah,
both.
He's Smart Hulk. Yeah,
But even then, it wasn't bad, but you could definitely tell they had to go to put on all the stops,
Yeah.
just to make sure that it wasn't laughable. And even there, it was kind of cheeky the way they did it.
Mm-hmm.
But and granted, I wasn't expecting them to spend that kind of money on a series on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
but that's what
but-
we've come to know from Disney.
it's just one of those things where
No
I
spared expense.
I do feel like even though they claim that everything on going to Disney Plus is same theater quality, to me, other than Marvel, I will agree, and Star Wars has good production value, but those are also two huge franchises I feel like Disney's afraid to chintz on.
Well, and apart from the ads being added themselves at the new price point, let's talk about the actual length of the ads too. Between 45 and 60 seconds.
That's long.
3 to 4 per the length of the show. I mean, 3 within a half hour, 4 within an hour. And I'm just like,
Oh, okay. Now that is a lot.
Yes.
Because see, like Paramount does like 2 for a movie, or sometimes they'll just do a full ad. Like actually, I think mostly Paramount does the full ad before, and then you have the whole movie free. Then in the shows they have ads where they normally go. Peacock has I think 2 or 3 ads per whatever you're watching, but again they're much shorter. I've never sat through an ad on Paramount that was 60 minutes long. That's crazy.
60 seconds long.
Or 60 seconds. Yeah, 60
Yeah.
minutes. Wow.
well, that's sitting through She-Hulk.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like a huge ad. To,
There's
to
no
boost
skips.
more-
There's no skip. You can't skip anything
No.
either.
See, well, and as somebody who watches YouTube quite a lot, and I still refuse to do YouTube Premium, I did a free subscription recently, but for different reasons that I'm not happy with. But even seeing the ads there just are so intrusive. And again, they don't work with the content creator because, of course, they can't. There's so many. But even their bigger name ones, I'm like, you don't even work with them to find out where these ads best fit.
That's
or
what-
I know it just cuts you right in the middle of a
We
video.
were watching a show the other night where somebody was getting ready to get stabbed, and it literally guy was like hand in the air with the knife and was coming down with the knife, and then boom, ad.
Yep.
And I'm just like, what the freak are you kidding me?
Yes.
What are you
platform
doing?
were you using?
Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah. Hulu's terrible.
Hulu's terrible. I was just saying, I actually have been impressed with Peacock. There's actually because I was watching that 70s show on Peacock, and when it cuts to an ad and where it would be on TV,
It's an ad break for
that's the
Peacock.
ad on Peacock. But Hulu is terrible. Yeah.
But that's the thing, and granted, you can maybe make an excuse for shows that have the ad breaks specifically in there for that purpose, where you can repurpose that for streaming. But at the same time, I'm just sitting here thinking, there's even times where I already have to skip through a lot of the videos sometimes because I've seen plenty of YouTube creators that are big names that talk about how they don't really get a whole lot of kickback from YouTube ad revenue. So they obviously have their own sponsors.
Yeah.
But yet where they're doing an ad for their sponsorship, which I obviously, sometimes they're funny and they're, and I'm not right by the controller, I'll let them play out. But sometimes when I'm sitting right there and they're doing an ad read right at the beginning of the video or even in the middle, I'll pick up my controller and skip through it, only to get through their ad read, and then 15 seconds go by when they're back into the content, and then YouTube cuts in with their ad. And I'm like, can you not give creators the ability to pick where they put their ads within their videos? Because then maybe they would structure their content around it. And I have to think the same with like Disney and some of these shows. I mean, when you're talking about movies, I'm sorry. I mean, you'd have to, I remember it being a specific job back in the day when you would see TV movies air. They'd have to try to pick a point where you could fade out or put in a bad edit to try to pick, or a low moment in the story where you could say, okay, this is a good stopping point. But it's it's a lot harder to do and implement well done to where you're worth, it's worth the price of admission. And I have to have the feeling that that's kind of where I'm at with Disney, is it's like having paid the $8 price point
For no ads.
Again, I'm kind of with Sean. It's like, where's my extra added value coming? Because I haven't seen added content to the point that I'm like, well, this is the reason I subscribe.
Yeah.
I honestly have Mandalorian and Hocus Pocus 2 I think have been the only things original wise that I've watched other things that were Disney content on there. But as far as their original stuff, I don't watch too much of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it is worth
Well,
that
they don't
$11.
really. I mean, unless you're a massive Star Wars or Marvel fan and you're watching all of those, like Star Wars and Marvel.
Oh, and I take that back. I did watch. I think I've watched. Well, I forgot. Hold on. What was Scarlet Witch's? WandaVision.
WandaVision. That's good.
Green Falcon
I mean,
and the
I've
Winter
seen
Soldier.
all of the Star Wars and Marvel stuff myself, but that's just because I enjoy that. But literally, that's the only original content that I even watch on there, because they're not making anything outside of, like, and again, you have to be a fan of those specific things to even still want to subscribe.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think it bodes well. I think $11 is a little too steep. People are going to pay it. I mean,
They will.
I did a year subscription to get a little bit off. I don't know if that's going to get jacked up. I paid for it last May, so I'm coming up in another 6 months.
Yeah, you got to pay more.
See, we do the package, the Disney, Hulu, ESPN.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
that too.
And
I'm sure that'll go up.
I got an email last month about this. I thought it was funny because our current price, we're basically, for the Disney side of it, we're paying about $7 or $8.99. It's like 14 something for all three. But the Disney is the biggest part, and so that would equate out to the price of the ad tier. But the email said, once the ad tier starts and our prices go up, you'll automatically be lumped in with the more expensive tier. At that time, it didn't tell you the price scheme. It just said there's going to be an ad-free tier that you'll automatically be enrolled in. So it's basically, even though you're paying the same price as the new ad tier, they're going to go ahead and bump you up to the $11 tier automatically.
Well, you're not getting ads, so they assume you still don't want them. So that way,
I'm just saying,
nice
it's kind of funny that they would opt you into the more expensive one when
I'm being
they
facetious.
should opt you into the one that's the same price
I
as
can
what
see
you're
them
already
saying
paying.
it's like, well, we figure you still want no ads, but it's like, but that's also the more you're.
Yeah, but
putting me
they
automatically
gave
into-
me a warning, and
Yeah.
I was like, well, if it's a couple bucks more, then I guess that's fine to not have ads. The thing that sucks is you still get ads on Hulu. You're not getting
No, I
their
have
ad-free service.
You can bundle the ad-free Hulu.
You can?
With Disney. That's
How
what I
much
have.
more is it,
Oh,
though?
yeah.
It's
how
like
much that?
$20 a month for ad-free Hulu, Disney, and ESPN, but it's still way cheaper than
Then paying
for,
it separately, yeah.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper paying separately for.
Most of the bundles. Because even Netflix now, for streaming on multiple TVs, it's $20.
At this point, I would be willing to definitely do the ad-free Hulu because their ad placement is pathetic.
atrocious.
Well, it's. I'm
and
sure
there's
it's going to be
tons
like
of them.
It'll probably be like $25 now.
Yeah.
with-
I bet you
with
they
the
do that on
ad-free.
purpose too, for that reason.
But
just
yeah,
like freaking YouTube.
Ad-free Hulu is like $14 alone, so $20 for ad-free Hulu, Disney, and ESPN Plus is cheap. But I'm sure that'll go up with the new as well.
I thought about doing the bundle because I'd done it originally, but the only thing that ticked me off was because I thought with ESPN I would get a lot of like just college games and stuff, but so many aren't on there because they're on the SEC network or the
They have
ACC
different-
network.
network.
Well,
and it's like they
funny.
have certain games, but not all of
The
them.
reason I did the bundle is for my parents because Kentucky's games have been exclusive to ESPN Plus. You can't watch them on TV, so not all of them.
Really?
But yeah, so Dad was pissed he couldn't watch them because they're not on SEC.
But then
or-
they made a deal with the SEC network, but ACC they haven't. With,
No.
Well,
and that's what ticks me off.
That's
Because most of
specifically
Louisville's
yeah.
games,
Kentucky's usually on Fox Sports.
Yeah, well, they would be
South
on
or
SEC
something like that.
or
Yeah.
ESPN, but they used to just be on regular ESPN, but now like it's exclusive. To
well, they
ESPN
have
Plus.
because now they do have the SEC network
Well, it was-
and the ACC.
it was a
network.
deal that they
so
made,
exactly, but it ticks me off because I looked for the ACC network, which
Yeah.
has no way to watch it other than subscribing to like a certain cable
Yeah.
package, and I'm like, I'm not going to do this.
They're all over. The NFL this year was like that. They're just because Amazon has Thursday Night Football, and then such and such has, and I'm just like, it's ridiculous.
It
that
is. It's getting insane.
that you
I
can't-
just- that's my only problem is now we're not only in the streaming wars, we're just everything's bifurcated all
Yeah.
over the place where I don't know where the content I want is.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I will subscribe to a bunch of crap.
And we know Disney's hemorrhaging money because Universal's beating them.
we had to throw that out there.
I just
yes.
wanted to shout that out. We mentioned it earlier. Universal, who owns DreamWorks and Illumination, has been
for the last
outgrossing Disney.
4
Yeah.
years.
Which is huge news because Disney's always been top dog in animation. So the fact that people
Trust me, I think we hit the nail on the head. Look, with Chapek out, Iyer coming back in, they know. Okay, yeah, none of us have said Disney's going bankrupt. They're hurting.
Yeah.
Bad. They're hurting. Their parks were already trying to get on the rebound from COVID.
Their parks are actually what's most successful right now.
And I think that's what's kind of funny is I'm
Yeah.
like, and that is all still reliant on the fact that you still have, because most of what you get at the parks even is still very much traditional
Listen, I
Disney.
wasn't saying that as a good thing. Like,
Right.
it's been sad that like right now their parks, which have been struggling, are actually been the most successful part of Disney.
But that's the thing. People why you're drawn to the park is because it's more classically Disney than
Yeah.
anything else. And most of the current crap that they're putting out is not what people are in tune with. The mass audiences don't want to watch. But all right, let's move on to our second headline and the biggest one of the night. We're finally there. Sorry guys, this is a long episode. DC reboot in the works. Let's talk about it. The scare.
James Gunn has said that some of it's true, some of it's not true, some of it they haven't decided whether it's true or not. So
I thought that was a classic
I love that.
James
I love
Gunn
that.
response.
But yeah,
Well, what was he responding to? Let's start with that.
First of all, there's been news that Patty Jenkins is out. And that led to rumors that not only was she out, but that Wonder Woman 3 wasn't happening at all, that they were scrapping any more plans for Black Adam because it didn't gross as high as they wanted to, that they were scrapping any ideas for Superman, which James Gunn has recently come out and said that Superman 2 is a top priority for them at DC.
Yep.
So obviously that part's not true. So it seems like we don't know what's going on. James Gunn has been very just...
I
smart.
texted you all
Yeah.
last week, and I said, because I know Sean was very anti
recasting everyone.
recasting
I
everyone.
don't want them to recast everybody.
And I get that. I am more on the side of James Gunn was brought in to give to be the Kevin Feige. Let him be the Kevin Feige of DC. Whatever decisions he makes, let's trust him. Let's see what the process brings. If that means recasting, I'm okay with it. Do I want to see Gal Gadot come back as Wonder Woman? Absolutely. Do I want to see Jason Momoa return as Aquaman and Henry Cavill as Superman? Absolutely. They were great. Even The Rock as Black Adam I thought was great.
I mean, honestly, as long as I get Cavill, that's all I care about.
Yeah. Him and Momoa, I still think he's a great Aquaman.
I mean, he's fine, but I think other people could do Aquaman. Momoa's not.
I just really loved his Aquaman, though.
But
man.
here's my problem.
Sorry.
My problem ultimately with the DC universe is it's in such disarray, and it has been for so long. Obviously, the big news with James Gunn coming in is to try to bring, not to rush to the successes of Marvel, which is what they were chasing after with the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
But for me, the big issue now is, do you trust the person at the helm? And we don't know if other people can perform to the caliber we're expecting them to until they're in the role.
Yeah.
We have to trust James Gunn in the process. And at the end of the day, if they brought him in and are paying him the big bucks to do this, and his other partner,
Peter Safran.
Peter Safran, it's like, to me, let's go that route. And if it means recasting everybody, so be it. Would I love to see all these peeps come back? Of course. I'm not saying let's get rid of them. But I'm also saying we don't have to keep them. They're not set in stone. Only because wait until you see the next Superman.
Yeah.
And what if he blows your socks off? You don't know until you see it.
We don't.
And just like the famous Steve Jobs quote, the people don't know what they want until we give it to them. And I'm kind of in the same boat here. It's like DC has been all over the place. Let's see what James Gunn can do.
No, yeah, no. I mean, as James Gunn himself said, the only people who know what's going on with DC right now are him and Peter Safran.
Yeah.
So,
Which is a great statement.
So it's all speculation. It's all rumor. I don't mind if they reboot. I would like to keep certain cast people because I do think they do embody those roles. But I'm not opposed to a complete reboot if we can get a clean slate and have a concise, because that's something James Gunn did talk about, was creating a story that's connected, that's not so disjointed, and heck, I mean, hopefully even more so than what Marvel's doing right now, because I don't feel like they have a, even though Feige claims he has a plan right now.
They're in more disarray than
it's not an apparent
So-
plan. Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing. Real quick.
Yeah.
Take that alone. What you just said about Marvel. The momentum. The momentum is behind DC right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DC has more of a chance of climbing out of the pit they've been in because they went so low, and because Marvel has just been spiraling for the last year. It's like this is the best opportunity to really take the chance to do something fresh.
And I don't know, because I mean he does say like they're 100% on making another Superman. It seems Cavill's back. That may not be cemented in stone, but they have really hyped that. So I'd be shocked if they completely cast aside everybody, especially since James Gunn himself is still involved with making a Peacemaker season 2. So I kind of don't know if they're going to be scrapping actors. That doesn't seem likely to me right now, but that doesn't mean that wouldn't be the case. If they decide that's the best course to go, then that's fine. But I do think the idea
But now
is
is the
to
time
see
you
how
have to do it.
Yeah.
Because you
We'll
can't
see.
you can't. I mean, if he's saying Superman is a priority,
And that doesn't necessarily mean with Cavill. He's just saying
no.
Superman's a priority.
But here's the thing: they're not going to let him sit on this for 2 years before they come out with another DC film.
No.
And I'm sorry, but we better have one on the books.
Yeah, especially not after you just brought him back for Black Adam.
Well, we have multiple DC films coming next year, even though they're all with the older. So it's we have to get through next year and to see what comes after and how they're going to tweak things. I don't know. We still don't know.
Ezra Miller's The Flash. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
Well, again,
what's going
for
on?
the longest time, that was
You got
touted as the
Shazam
springboard
coming out.
to Reboot because of the multiverse story or time travel storyline with Flashpoint. We don't know if that's true or if that was the plan that was still under the old guard. So James Gunn could say, well, no, the Flash isn't going to be our springboard into a new...
Well, and we also don't know if they gave him an ultimatum. Not an ultimatum, but if they gave him a rule book saying, look, your reign begins after this.
Yeah.
It's like you have a say-so up to certain creative
see us
decisions
through these next. Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
until your full vision is not going to be fully incorporated until after these other films have already released.
Yeah.
Do what you will after that. And who knows if he's going to work his magic in that regard or if he's going to just, clean slate after the fact and just start over. I don't know. It's all up in the air at this point. But
all rumor and speculation. That's all we got.
I'm not somebody that was huge against the Snyderverse. I didn't. There were things about it I didn't like, but there were things about it that I loved. so I'm not somebody that's like, please get rid of all of that storyline and forget all it had happened. What I have the biggest problem with DC is them spreading all these different stories. There's different Batmans. I mean, at this point,
yes.
You've got the
Robert Pattinson
you've
Batman.
got Robert Pattinson.
Batfleck
You've got
possibly
Batfleck
coming back.
Yeah,
Keaton
I'm just
in the Flash.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is where the biggest problem is. You've got all these characters spread over different. The same thing with the Joker.
Are they still
created
doing
the
Yeah, they're
Joker?
still doing Joker. Probably.
Joker was fantastic, and
Yeah.
Batman.
But
the
then
Batman is fantastic.
Are they still
but-
doing what's his name though? In the freaking
You talking about Matt Reeves Joker?
no
Or Joaquin Phoenix.
no, I knew
Jared
they were
Leto.
Jared Leto.
I got to go through all three of them to get there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We
yeah.
already know that Joker 2 is happening because it's a musical.
That one's happening,
Yeah.
but that one's still disconnected from the. I don't mind that so much. I know that does annoy some people. I don't mind if you have, because the comics do that too, like these separate kind of standalone things. If you emphasize that that's what that is, but if you do it too much, like I think it is a bad idea to have multiple Batman like that. Like a standalone story that's just the Joker is kind of something unique, so that doesn't bother me. But when you have a huge universe. And you have a whole series of like these Matt Reeves Batman movies, not just one standalone, but a whole series. And then, this Batman's going to be the main Batman of this universe. It does. It gets to be kind of a point of, well, what are we supposed to really be rooting for here? Why do we need two different Batman stories going along at the same time?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, other than Batman, those are some comics that I have read, and I know that Batman's art design is different in a lot of different Batman comics. But with the Joker, such an iconic character, jumping from those side stories or those different things, does he look different in every version of the Joker in the comic books?
No, the different artists draw them different. All that, yeah. There's different throughout the years. Every DC character has had different.
and even-
looks.
That's my issue, is the recognition. If you're going to
Yes.
have the Joker in this movie and expect me to believe that that's the same Joker from this movie, you've got to have some correlation.
Or,
and I
or
know,
even if it's not. It's like,
Yeah.
I just need some distinction
Yes.
of, okay, these are two separate storylines or two separate universes
Yeah.
within DC.
Well, I mean, the
like
Joker
they just
had the
have
same
it.
story.
Joker.
He
Well-
had almost the same, a very similar origin story, and there's a very similar. There were different things like at the end of the Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix. There's iconic scenes from the Batman's origin. And I'm
Well,
just
yeah,
like,
they wanna
that's-
tie it in
Yeah, you want
because
to
it
tie it
is.
together, but then you want to say it's separate. Make up your freaking mind.
Well,
Well-
no, I don't think like that because it's still a part of those comics. It's just not part of that story. I don't know how to explain.
Unless
It
you're
may-
going to go all in with a whole new Batman origin and a whole new story,
I
then
think
don't do it.
You do it distinctly different, saying it's fine to have the bifurcation if you have a clear cut plan as to whether or not it's a part of the same universe or not. I mean, it could be just DC, just like Marvel Studios, has the luxury of the ability. Because now the problem with Marvel is that everything's connected, and they don't have any kind of wiggle room. And so when you try to tell a one-off story, you're going to get immediately fans crying, "Well, how does this explain this detail, or what is this alluding
Well, the
to?"
DC used
multiverse
to have-
explains it now.
Yeah, well, that's,
yeah.
DC has a multiverse too. That's what where Flashpoint comes in, but we don't know how the movie's going to work. But DC used to have a line called DC Vertigo, which was more adult-oriented stories, and I could see it's like if they did something like that, like okay, the Joker movie is a DC Vertigo film, but these is DC.
Yes.
That I think would help differentiate as well.
Well, I think of even just Rockstar. There's different rock stars that do Red Dead and different ones that do Grand Theft Auto, but you like you said, a different studio all under the Rockstar banner.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think
But
that
then I
would
think
be
if-
smart.
But then again, if you do too much of that, you're still going to confuse people. It's like you're having one or two Vertigo films that are a different flavor, a different genre is fine. But I think if it is because
Well,
like you said, now you have,
then you get into the problem of even like think of the Batman that just came out. It could have been a DC Vertigo film under that description.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, but that Batman has nothing to do with this Joker.
No.
So then you're immediately like, but wait, they're both in the Vertigo universe.
Yeah, so-
yeah, exactly.
you get to the
yeah.
point where you're still confusing people because you're just doing too much. I mean, you have three.
Well, there you
iterations
go
of
again.
Joker.
Even the Batman introduced another variant of the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, gosh, like
I
what are we
agree.
doing?
Well,
I'm confused.
They're
like
all from
so-
different multiverses. Okay.
yeah,
But
explain
even
that.
even so many fans have even just said, "Get off the Joker." There's other amazing villains in Batman universe.
Actually, absolutely yes. I wish they would, because there are so many villains that have never been on film that I'm like, why are we still ignoring? Yeah.
Well, even the stupid Batman films that started. I mean, they're not the Tim Burton ones aren't stupid, but when you look at
Schumacher ones,
the Schumacher films, but even they tackled a different villain every time. They didn't get fixated on one
too many villains
arch nemesis.
to
Yeah, that's exactly right. Though they went too many.
But no, I agree. I think it's not. Yes, Joker is an integral part of Batman and that mythos, but we've seen Joker plenty. Let's move on to another villain.
Yep. Alrighty, guys. I think we're ready to move on.
Yeah, let's
to
do
our
it.
final segment of the show. Let's get into our vices segment.
That's good.
Vices.
Yeah.
Let's talk about real quick. We got some little bit of time left.
We could do this. We could
definitely do it. 5 minutes or less. What is the most overrated Christmas food?
Eggnog.
That's it. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Wait, I didn't hear what y'all said. I really didn't.
You go ahead.
I said eggnog.
Actually, I was gonna say eggnog.
I like eggnog.
Absolutely.
I love me some eggnog. It has to be home. No, not store bought. Like
homemade. How do you do homemade eggnog? I've never had it.
Disgusting.
Eggnog's really good. If it's not, you got to get some good eggnog.
There is no good.
There's good eggnog.
He's talking about with that bourbon.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, hell yeah.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely,
That's
hell yeah.
gross,
Actually,
man.
real eggnog with bourbon, like that's not like the store bought nasty, gross. That and fruitcake. I hate fruitcake.
Fruitcake.
Fruitcake's disgusting.
Is fruitcake consired like a holiday?
Yeah,
cake?
it's a Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of the time you only find it around Christmas.
We don't do
These
fruitcake.
big blocks of like they're bricks. They're literally like bricks of like dried fruit.
I was
gross.
gonna say it was definitely gonna be eggnog, but also candy canes. And I know that's a candy, but you only peppermint candy canes you get around Christmas.
I freaking love.
I always hated those around
peppermint.
Christmas. I know we put them on the tree, and every once in a while I'd grab one off, and my mom would be like, "Get one from the back," so they didn't all disappear.
So you can still see it,
right? But it was one of those things where I just never did fully love them.
I like peppermint.
And also, I guess this kind of goes Thanksgiving / Christmas, but cranberries.
Yes.
Oh, fucking love them. Well, we got three.
We did it.
We got three for
We
three.
did it. All three of us.
Wow.
All three of us.
Three for three.
Wow.
Oh, too much beer. 3 for
Broke
3.
the F-bomb
3
barrier.
for 3. I
Wow.
love
We
cranberry.
need where's the
Over
soundboard?
cranberries too.
I
though.
love. No, you don't understand. I love
He
cranberry.
effing loves cranberries.
I do a lot with like cranberry juice.
Oh my God.
Like the jellied cranberry, like even that stuff that comes in a can that looks so gross.
That's what I'm talking
disgusting.
about.
Yes.
It's so gross.
That
awful.
but I do like actual like cranberry sauce, not the can. The canned stuff I love too.
I still say that is
Craisins,
both
dried cranberries.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
It is.
Yeah,
that
is.
shows
It
up
is.
on the table for both meals.
And I just think it's overrated. I do not understand. I hate cranberries. I like now. Here's the one thing I will like with cranberries in it, even though it's artificial. The Canada Dry cranberry that comes out for Christmas.
It's not been anywhere this year. I've been so ticked.
They better have it somewhere.
It's almost Christmas.
They better have it.
The Upper Hunters, Kroger, the one on Terry, neither one of them have had it.
I
somewhere.
have to have
Sprite
that.
has a cranberry.
They do.
It's not
It's
the
actually
same.
good. It is good. I tried it.
I'm
this
sure.
year.
Yeah, it's not the same as ginger ale.
It's not.
But
It's
yeah.
Yeah.
I was very upset because so far Walmart and Kroger's both have not had the cranberry ginger ale, and I'm like,
It's so freaking
I'm gonna Google that. I'm gonna Google it. I don't
crazy.
understand.
It's just as good as Keith's F-bomb drop.
Yeah. Well, we're 3 for 3 now.
Hey, we finally did it. You said we would never get you, so we got him.
That's the
I
first one
didn't do
this
it
year.
I didn't do it out of anger though. You both. His was out of pain. Yours was out of anger.
Yeah,
Mine
but that
was just out of
that was
out of
last
sheer-
year for
sheer
mine. When was
admiration
yours,
for
Brandon?
cranberry.
Hey, pain leads to anger. Anger leads to love.
Okay.
I was waiting for it.
It didn't work the first time.
I was waiting for it though.
Wow.
It didn't work the first
But
time.
man, there it is. Those are our most overrated Christmas foods. Anybody else have their most overrated Christmas. That was the quickest Vices segment ever.
It was.
But
I'm going to say something real quick. This isn't an overrated food, but I'm going to tell you about a food that I have to eat every year that I dread having to eat, and that is this is gonna hurt some people.
Oh,
turkey.
If you have kids listening, turn it off.
Turn it off.
Santa Claus's cookies.
Santa Claus's cookies.
I have to eat.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
you ain't gotta eat them.
I have to eat those. I have to take
Wait.
bites of those.
But what kind
Yeah,
are
I mean,
they?
It doesn't matter what kind. It never fails. I am not at all in the mood for cookies that night when I have to eat them. I have had
Just take bites out of them and spit it in the trash.
No.
He
You gotta make it authentic.
Does your wife make them or something?
Yeah. Oh no. The wife and the kids make them.
Oh, yeah, that's why.
Okay.
That's why.
So they're like
Yes.
Play-Doh cookies.
Wait.
No. They're
Just
legit
kidding, I'm
cookies.
kidding.
Are they the ones that
I'm just
that
not in
Amelia
the
makes
mood
with
for
the
cookies.
pretzel and because those are amazing.
It's whatever kind Santa Claus wants.
Okay, actually,
Well, you need to
But
tell
the
her.
problem is like I'm like, okay, he wants these kind of cookies and this kind of cookie, and then
they don't
when the
ever
time
make
comes,
those?
no. They make them. I'm just not in the mood. Santa Claus is not in the mood for those cookies.
I get it.
Hey,
Santa Claus takes a bite and is just like,
so
Doesn't like it.
no, I'm not ready. I don't want them at that time.
don't want
It's
them, man.
weird.
You don't want
want
the
'em.
cookies.
I can't make myself eat some crap I don't want.
Googled the Cranberry Canada Dry, and I found some at the Walmart in Lebanon. So if you want to make a road
In
trip,
Lebanon?
if
I'll
you,
do it.
If you want to
I'll
go on
do
a
it.
road trip to Lebanon,
Red
to get
Moon
some-
road trip. Let's go to Lebanon tonight and get some Canada Dry cranberry.
Wow.
And the
Hell
Walmart
yeah.
in Lebanon. Oh wait, Meyer, where's that one at?
They got a Walmart.
They're a whole $1 extra at Meyer. What the?
Hey, if
Is
it's
it-
right up the
is
road,
it closer
I'll take
though?
it.
Because
Yeah.
that's gas money.
That's true. You're gonna
Yeah.
spend way less in gas. I don't know. I'm trying to pull it up.
All I know is that when it comes to cookies, there are certain kinds of cookies I expect to have around Christmas, and that's the no-bakes. I love the no-bake cookies. Ugh. And also, they're the cheap, they have them every year. There's two kinds, and I can't remember the brand. There's the one, they both, I think, come in tins.
Hey, Brandon.
There's the one that's like a round tin it's a blue round tin, and they're these Christmas cookies. They're all like they have no frosting or nothing on.
Yeah,
them.
they're just all
Yeah.
hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Different sprinkles and stuff on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah. They're
Yeah.
all shaped like trees and stars.
Gingerbread men and all that
yes.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
But then there's also another kind that is just they're all plain, and I don't know if it's like a certain kind of. Kroger had them on sale, but my grandma always used to get them.
Yeah.
And they were all like the same shape.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I understand.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Like kind of.
They're like biscuit cookies.
Yes, I
Yes.
love those.
Really
They're
crunchy.
shortbread.
Yeah.
Shortbread cookies is what they're
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
They're
I want to
amazing.
pull up an
Biscuits.
image.
Yeah, Google shortbread
biscuits.
cookies.
Because I
Cookies.
think that because they're the Christmas, but put Christmas shortbread.
They're so great.
Let me see if they, not Christmas shoes, shortbread cookies. There they are.
Yep.
Let's see. Yep. Oh yeah, Royal
Yep.
Dance.
Yep.
Keith got them
That's
up
it.
on there. Yeah.
Here it is, the Royal Dance.
I
them.
agree. I
Yeah.
love those. Now we're
Yeah.
talking about things we love, not that
I know.
overrated. I just want you to know.
then right next to it are the cookies, the other cookies I was talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, holy crap! Yeah, the
Put 'em on your click
Stouffer's
list.
Stouffer's holiday cookies. Man,
Stouffer's?
Stouffer's? No, that ain't Stouffer's.
Let's stop. I don't know.
Staffers?
Stouffer's.
But man, those are
Yeah.
Those cookies right there, those Royal Dance are definitely actually
That's
both
them.
of those.
That's it. That's legit.
It's both of those. You can see that.
Brandon, I need to tell you
Focus.
something though.
Focus.
This is very important.
Yeah.
Meyer on Dixie Highway
Has Cranberry Canada Dry?
It says, according to their website, it says in stock.
False.
I'm gonna go get it some tonight. I'll go get. Well, not tonight. I ain't gonna do it tonight. I gotta do my Taco Bell run.
They're gonna be out of stock tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're gonna go tomorrow.
I
They're not
know.
gonna have any left.
They'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, our
Everybody
computers were
listening to
wrong."
this show is gonna go get them tonight.
If they get them and then they regift them, I'll be happy.
It really angers me that Meijer has it, but Walmart and Kroger don't. It's like, what's wrong with Walmart and
Nobody
Kroger?
shops at
Yeah.
Meijer anymore. I don't know why. Nobody likes them. It's like go
But
somewhere
there's
else.
not even a place for them to be stocked at Walmart or Kroger. I looked. I checked. They're just not carrying them.
The Coke aisle.
I did.
Walmart,
I
dude.
looked at
That-
every.
I
was looking.
swear
Walmart.
they're usually just in the Coke aisle.
I know it's not there.
I don't know.
They have cherry 7-Up
They're
and cranberry
probably
Sprite.
they're probably not for sale in the bulk. It's probably up front in one of the cases, in the cold cases, individuals.
No, they're 2 liters. They only sell it in 2 liters.
It only comes in 2 liters?
Yeah, they
As
only
far
sell
as I
it in 2
know,
liter.
I think so.
Yeah.
They may do cans.
They
That's
used
what I was
to.
I
thinking.
think
it
they
would be
may
a
do like
can.
a 12 cans.
They used to, but I haven't seen those.
Oh gosh,
Longer. Oh,
Wrong,
wow.
wrong one. We're not starting this
Prices.
segment
Yeah.
over.
Yep.
We're wrapping it up, guys.
All right.
We gotta
Cranberry
go.
Canada Dry.
Went a little over, but
You can get
was
for
a little bit of what we-
$30. You can get a 12-pack
No.
of cans.
How
they're-
much?
They're because they're probably from like years ago.
No, you're probably getting shipped from Canada. For $30, they better
Yeah.
come from the source.
it's funny.
It's a third-party seller through Walmart. That's why.
That's
I'm
why.
Like, yeah,
Justin
it's,
Trudeau.
Markup.
Supply.
Not shipping any Canada Dry down here because none of us are vaxxed. That's
Yeah.
why.
That's right.
He's
Yeah.
holding up the Canada Dry.
I
up
think
there.
they've dropped that. I think you can go to Canada now without a vaccination.
Well, I'm not going.
think so.
So I don't
I don't know.
care.
you can get it for $20 on Amazon though. So there you go.
Yeah, but is it
$10
delivered
cheaper.
before Christmas? Because that's the problem with Amazon right now. It's like delivered after Christmas.
Walmart has a cranberry Canada Dry powder drink mix. If you want to try that out.
Gross.
No.
We should get that on here for our 400th.
Oh.
You know what? That's what we'll do for our 400th episode. No. I take it
I'd
back.
rather eat
We're gonna
Santa
do.
Claus's cookies than drink that
Powder
powder
drink.
Canada Dry.
We're gonna
Oh
get
my
him some
God.
effing cranberries for the 400th.
Let me see. I gotta look at this real quick. Yeah, it says cranberry ginger ale. It's like the little tubes that you like.
Yeah,
you
how
just-
can it be fizzy?
Look at that.
Gross.
I don't-
Show that. Show it. It's a tube, like a tube of toothpaste.
No, it's
Yeah.
like the little packets.
You know, like the little instant
it's
that
like
you
a-
put in your water
like
bottle.
lemonade
yeah.
or high C packets. That you
It's
put
like
in there.
almost like
Kool-Aid.
what do they call it?
the Crystal Light.
No, cherry. Oh, what do they put them in there? They put them in Cokes. Grenadine? Is that what they called it?
Well, grenadine's a cherry syrup.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking. Okay, but that's.
No, this
like
is
that?
this is like the Crystal Light powder.
Powder, you
packets
dump
that
it in a bottle
of
water.
and then you shake it up. Like you can make lemonades, and usually they're really good. But I doubt that a ginger ale. Like, how do you make ginger ale from a powder?
No,
That's
it's just,
right.
It's gonna make me upset because it's not the real thing.
Oh no.
and
Not
I'm
at
gonna
all.
get the real thing for the 400th
It says,
episode.
want to take your favorite Canada Dry soda with you, but leave all of the sugar behind?
No.
It's like at first, it's like well, first of all, if I'm dumping powder into a plain bottle of water, it's definitely not Canada Dry soda because soda requires carbonation.
Yeah. Gosh.
Well, all I know
Get
is
some
that
carbonated water and dump the powder in that.
we've got our
try
big.
that.
Oh gosh, you could get carbonated water.
I have,
yeah?
a, I
Why
have,
not?
a, I have a
Try
soda
it.
stream.
But do they have carbonated like plain water?
Yes,
Well,
you
just
get
sparkling
plain
water.
Yeah, sparkling water
Oh,
is
just
just
get sparkling
carbonated
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then dump it.
Just do it.
Oh.
We should do
Seriously,
that.
now I
We
wanna
should
do
do
it.
that and compare the two.
Yeah,
I'll have the real stuff versus that.
Oh,
Get
We'll do
the,
that.
well,
I
listen,
forget
it says
the name of the
it
brand.
says
the
free
sparkling
shipping.
water.
It'll arrive by December 21st.
Perrier.
So we
Yes,
won't get it.
Perrier.
Yes. Get the good sparkling water. if
I mean,
you're
that's
gonna do
that's
this.
the ritzy kind. That's what all the
Yes.
Ritz people.
Yeah.
That's you walk in
Absolutely.
and they got Perrier. They're trying to say something.
Yes.
They got crushed grape drink. You powder. You can put it in grape drink.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing all that. We're doing the cranberry.
All right.
Cranberry Canada Dry. We'll do that.
It's 10:36.
We got to go, but it's for 400 next week.
Yep.
You saw on the sign there.
I guess-
399. We are at episode 400.
Guess what's gonna happen on episode 400?
Oh no! What?
Avatar.
Oh, Avatar is out next week. That's right. Avatar 2 is dropping.
James Cameron.
We're going to see it actually on opening night. Pretty
You
much.
know-
Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah,
We
it's
are.
on-
We are. He was told to take all of the hippie BS tree hugging crap out of the first movie.
I saw it in the
Yeah.
preview, so
We know
it's
it's
in the
there.
trailer.
He said he didn't have to be as dire about the circumstances.
No,
We're
no.
now in an
This was about the
activist
first
role.
movie. He said they told him during the first movie he needed to remove all of that, and he refused, and it was a huge success.
That's
so.
it. That's
Oh,
it.
I thought that I didn't get to read the full article. I
No,
thought
no.
it was regarding the second movie.
No, in the
No.
second movie, he
Oh.
believes
he's
though,
going full.
Well, he doesn't have to. He believes he doesn't have to be as full activist in the second movie because he thinks that culture has caught up with where the first movie
Well,
was.
I just found out Kate Winslet's playing a pregnant Na'vi, and I'm just like, well, I knew she was a
She
Na'vi,
was in it, yeah.
but she's she's going to be pregnant in the movie. She's a pregnant warrior Na'vi, and I'm like, okay.
I think everybody you're gonna be surprised. Everybody that's in it, like Stephen Lang, I think their role is gonna be completely opposite of what we think.
Well, Sigourney Weaver's playing the daughter now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, she's not the first.
Well,
character.
because they put her from her soul.
They put her in the tree.
Yeah, and now she goes to the
Iowa.
she was reborn as their daughter.
It's Iowa.
Stop telling
But
me.
now she's reborn as their. I don't know, but that's imagine. I imagine they'll say she was reborn as their daughter.
Oh,
somehow.
of course. They'll have to.
Yeah, because in the trailer, the daughter is like, I can feel her.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I think she's
It's
talking
really
about
weird though because
Sigourney Weaver.
like Sigourney Weaver is
She's
like
inside me.
Her voice though is you could tell it's an older woman voice,
yes.
and it's like this child.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is weird.
I don't know what you're talking about. James Cameron's gonna be a genius. He's a genius.
What if we go and see this movie
and it blows our minds.
and we absolutely love it?
I'll eat my words.
I know. Will you though?
Yes.
Will you?
I have.
If I love it, yeah.
Yes.
but
There
I
have been
just
plenty
don't
of
know if I
times on
will
this
love it.
show
I
where
know
we've
the
looked at it.
bane you have for James Cameron.
Oh yeah, and if he makes an entertaining, here's the
One
thing:
of his favorite movies
I
is
never
Titanic.
said exactly. I said it's a guilty pleasure. I never said it wasn't going to be entertaining. If I'm entertained by it,
Yeah, but that could be us laughing, making fun of it. Is
Well, that's
entertaining.
fine.
and that's fine.
Okay.
But
I made fun of Dumbo
but
and it
I'll
was
still. It's true.
That's true.
But I also still clarified that the first movie is not entertaining. It is just boring and it's dribble. It is something that is.
I find entertainment. In
I don't find it.
Stephen Lang.
The only
every scene he's in
No.
entertains me.
But okay, so again, entertainment and how much you can make fun of it. If it's entertaining in that way, then yeah.
Chew you up and spit you out.
Yes.
But he doesn't say spit.
Nope. We've already had one
already had
cursor
that
on
one, yeah.
this show.
We're allowed one for
Yeah.
PG-13.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it under.
Keep it that way.
Alrighty,
keep it
guys.
PG-13.
Tune
Yeah.
in next week for the big Avatar review and our big 400th episode. We're there. Woo! Gonna have a great show for y'all. And it's our week before Christmas. That's our Christmas episode.
And we're
Woohoo!
gonna have.
What, surprise.
We're gonna have
We got a
cranberry ginger ale too.
That's right. We got a surprise. Our last Christmas movie, unconventional surprise for you next week. Tune in for that present.
Well,
Get to open it.
two of the four of them so far have had a Tim Burton connection. So was the
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah. Could be.
He's made another unconventional Christmas movie.
Could it be that one? We'll have to find out next week on our 400th episode. Like, share, subscribe on all of our social media. RM Book. Sorry, whoa, screw that up. Red Moon Book. I was already going to the email. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Books, and search for Red Moon Production. I'm ready to go. I want my Taco Bell. I'm hungry, and we went way overlord. I'm ready for our 400th episode. I'm telling.
Let's do it. Let's get out of here.
Can't talk straight.
Let's just we'll save it for next week.
I'm just speeding through this.
Just email us.
Search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube. Yes, and what is that email, Keith, you just brought up?
RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
Fan-freaking-tastic. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host.
Sean Sebastian.
And
I'm done.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.